Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm working on a project for Scrappy Tales. This is going to be using products from the brand new summertime set sale collection. Sabrina filled this thing just super full with lots and lots of fun items to play with. So what I'm going to start off with, I've got an idea for a card. It's basically going to be kind of a simple card, but I also want to try out something on some of the pattern paper. So here's what we're going to do. I'm picking out a piece of pattern paper in her pack here. This pack has 24 sheets, 4 of each design, 12 designs, which means that if this does not work out the way I anticipate on my first run, I can use another sheet of the same one if I want to. So that's going to be fine. I'm picking this one because it is mostly monochromatic. It's mostly blue. It doesn't have this light tan color that the rest of it has. Let me go ahead and pull that one piece out. And I've got out some of my lunar paste. Okay, I've got some gold and silver. I think I'm probably going to go with the silver this time, just because I may do something similar to it later. There's also, this is what got me thinking, there are also these fun stencils. These are slimline stencils, so they're the perfect length for if you want to do a slimline card. That's not what I'm going to do today. Instead, what I want to do is I'm going to add some of these little anchors over the top of this page that has got our little navigation symbol. And I think I'm just going to go over like half of the card for now, and we're going to see how that does. This is a glossy cardstock, so that's why I'm not 100% sure how it's going to turn out. However, this stuff dries pretty quick. I've never had a problem with it on any kind of cardstock, so I'm thinking it should be fine. So first things first, let's go ahead and tape this down. I'm going to tape the card directly to my stencil. And I'm thinking this would look really cool with gold as well, or basically any of the other colors, but I'm kind of thinking I want to keep it mostly, masculine, since all of the colors that are in the kit, all of the colors that are in the papers are all masculine colors. We've got the blues. I mean, I love the blues. That's kind of a me thing anyway, but this is going to make for a really nice masculine type of card. And I don't do a lot of masculine cards. So I've got out the silver lining lunar paste, and I'm just going to put that over each of my little anchors here. And since I'm going over it with this palette knife, the little anchors are going to be a little bit thick. So it is going to take a little bit of time to dry. Okay. And using a scraper definitely helps to, it speeds things up, so it's a little easier to do it. This is just something I got at the Dollar Tree. I've got like 2 or 3 different ones over here. And of course, I don't know where the other ones are, but I've got a scrapbook.com one, and then I've got a couple of them that are, like I said, from the Dollar Tree. And they all work pretty good. This one I think is probably not as good, and I can already tell where I am starting to, like, I think, damage the actual scraper. This is a scraper for cakes or something. Anyhow, what we're going to do next, let me put that to the side. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's pull this up and see how it looks. Being very careful because I don't want to smudge any of it. Okay, some of it did go underneath my stencil, but I still think that looks pretty good. So I think that'll be a cool background. I'm going to set this off to the side to dry, and then we can get started on the next part of the card. So next I want to add a focal image, and I'm taking a couple of stamps out of my guiding light stamp set, and this thing is huge. You can make a lot of cards just from the stamp set itself. And what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to do this lighthouse, and I'm going to die cut that one out afterwards. I'm also going to do some of those little birds. I think those are super cute. So we've got some seagulls there. And I'm going to stamp this out using some VersaFine Clear, and then we're going to do some heat embossing. And it looks like I missed the top of my, it looks like I missed the top of my lighthouse that time. No worries, I'll just stamp that down again. Make sure this is still down in that corner. It's one of the wonderful things about using a MISTI. So that looks fabulous. I am going to move my birds though and do another stamping with them. So I can just go ahead and use the same piece of cardstock, and while I've got it all here, I might as well do the stamping now. And I'll just use up that space there because I am die cutting all of this out. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss these, and then I can die cut them out. When you're doing your embossing, you should, and I always forget, you should use your anti-static powder tool for that. But I'm also using Wow Clear Embossing Powder. Wow embossing powders have a anti-static property to them, so they normally don't stick too much where you don't want it. So that looks like I've got pretty good coverage. Let me just make sure I got enough on that end, and then I'll just hit this with my heat tool. Okay, that looks great. So next I'm going to color up my lighthouse. Now, I initially was thinking I was going to go with red, but then I took my panel that's still drying, it's probably about dry, and placed this over the front and thought, you know what? I think it would look really, really nice in some blues. So I'm going to do that instead. And I haven't decided if I'm going to color the entire thing in or not, or just go with the main panel here and leave the rocks just normal. I did go ahead and pick out a couple of colors of markers. These are my Spectrum Noir. And yeah, I was testing them out. I do have a couple of them that are a little bit dry, so I'm probably going to be just using the chisel tip instead of the bullet nib, because the bullet nibs are not really wanting to function as well for me. It also looks like I've got some other color mixed in on one of them. So anyhow, be careful when you are using your stuff so that you don't get weirdo colors, right? So the darker one I'm going to use is my TB4. And that does look good. And I'm just going to come in from the edges of my lighthouse. This is going to be where the shadows are. And it's going to give it a little bit of a rounded look. And at this point, I think I'm going to just go ahead and speed through this and catch up with you guys once I'm done with all the coloring. Okay, I think that turned out pretty nice. Now, I did intend initially to have white stripes on there, and then I forgot when I was putting down the dark blue, but it still looks awesome. Okay, and this is nice and dry, so now we can start putting our card together. Okay, so I think I'm liking this. I'm going to use a white, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to use a white card panel as my matting layer. I usually, if I'm going to do a matting layer, a lot of times it's going to be in black. And then I'm going to also use a black card base. So let me go ahead and score this. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, scoring at 4 1/4, so I can fold this in half. Now see, I'll show you what I'm thinking of, and this should be what, I have a feeling this is the way my card's going to turn out. Okay, so I've got this piece that I cut a little bit down, so it's going to be right like that. Looks kind of like what a lot of my cards look like, but then I'm going to have some of this showing, so I think that's going to be really cool. So now I need to cut this one down a little bit. So my card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I trimmed my white card panel down by 1/4 inch on each side. So this is 4 by 5 1/2. I'm sorry, 5 1/4. So this one needs to be 3 3/4 by 5. But I don't want to get rid. I want to keep some of this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say that. If I go, let's see what that's gonna look like. If I go all the way to 3 3/4, that's gonna cut off too much of it. So I'm not gonna cut that far. I think what I want to do is cut off. I'm going to cut 1 inch off of the other end. That gives me a strip that I can use in another way on this card or a different one. And then I'll cut the rest down here. No, I'm not. I'm going to cut another 1/2 inch off. 1/4 inch off. I'm going to cut another 1/4 inch off. Yeah, I am deciding on the fly, so I should have cut this one down to 4 1/4. I should have cut off 1 1/4 inches to begin with. Okay, now cutting down 3 3/4. That's going to leave a nice bit of the plane, so it almost looks like 2 different cardstocks, almost. And then I'm just going to trim off a little bit at the bottom. It's going to make it down to 5. So that's what we're going to use for our main panel. So that's going to give us a little bit of a white border all the way around, and then we're going to have the black all the way around, and then we can have our lighthouse. I think that is going to look super cute. So let me go ahead and start adhering all of this stuff together. And then you know I need some foam to go behind that lighthouse. Then I've got my little seagulls that I can place on here too. And I think I'm going to just adhere those down with some liquid glue. Okay, and all that's left is a sentiment. So for this sentiment, I'm going to just put that down with some liquid glue and go right over the front of my my lighthouse. It says, "Let your light shine." And some of this is kind of overhanging the edge over here where we've got it popped up, or we've got the lighthouse popped up. So I do need a little piece of foam for that. So I'm just going to trim myself off a teeny tiny little bit off the edge of my Scotch foam, because I need to make sure that it's not seen, right? And the part behind the S can be a little bit bigger, so I think I'm going to actually cut this in 2 pieces. And now I'm going to take the release paper off the top. There we go. And then this little piece, I'm going to do the same kind of thing behind the rest of the word after I get the release paper off. There we go. And that card is done. I think this turned out super, super pretty, and I do like that sentiment. That sentiment is great as an encouragement for pretty much anyone, but with these colors, this would be great to give to a guy. We're real good at doing encouragement type of cards for our lady friends, but not so much when it comes to our men friends. So I'm probably going to put this one in the mail. I already have somebody in mind for it. So that is going to finish up this video for Scrappy Tales products. And you guys have a wonderful day. Be sure to check out this playlist over here to see more projects where I'm using some Scrappy Tales products, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.